Welcome to this painting tutorial. How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this video. In this video we're going to look at how to paint word bearers for the Horus Heresy or Warhammer 30k. This is a very simple color scheme and it has few steps and it's fairly easy to do. If you notice, this color scheme is different from the color scheme on the box of Betrayal of Cult, because this is a color scheme more aimed to the traditional way of painting word bearers. The other way is using other reds, and I can explain to you how to do it, and it's practically the same thing, but I went with this darker color scheme. I'm going to start by priming the model in black. For that I'm using Rust-Oleum black primer. You could use any primer that you like, but I'm going for black because I'm going for a very dark color scheme. First I'm going to use Khorne red to base coat the whole model. Here I'm using a flat brush and stretching the paint as much as I can so that it doesn't cover detail, and having a little bit of thinned down paint on your palette. I'm going to go ahead and cover the whole model. If the first layer doesn't cover the model too well, you can give it a second coat. 2 coats would be enough for reaching the full opacity of this color. Once you do that, I'm going to use model color black, and with this color I'm going to base coat every other part that I want to be black. For that is pretty much just the shoulder pads, some parts of the backpack, the bolter, and some details here and there. So all of my paints are thinned down with just water. Sometimes I use the drying retarder to extend the life of the paint. You can do it however you want, but never use paint straight from the pot. Here I'm going to use Nuln oil and a fine detail brush to pick up all of the recesses on the model. This is just like a lining process where I go in between all of the crevices and just try to paint a line inside of the shadowed areas. This is fairly simpler than just mopping the whole model. You can do that if you want, but then you have to come back and clean everything up. And this method saves you a lot of time, and it's a lot cleaner, especially for those colors that are very hard to clean up, like white, yellow, and bone, and all of those light colors. Then I'm going to go back and use Khorne red, and with this color I'm going to clean up all of the places where the wash went where I didn't want it, and pretty much just push back the wash into the crevices again, and pretty much just clean up, make the model look a little bit prettier. So if you want to go for the color scheme of the Betrayal at Cult box, you should use Mephiston red instead of Khorne red. Next I'm going to do the edge highlight with Wazdaka red. If you're going for the color scheme on the box, you should use Evil Sun Scarlet. And this is just a lining process, and it's not necessary if you're going for tabletop standard. If you're going for tabletop, you shouldn't do this edge highlight that is not going to show from very far away. But here I'm just using a little bit of drying retarder to help the paint stay wet on the tip of the brush for longer. And I'm going over all of the edges of the armor. And this is going to be barely visible for the camera and for yourself when you're painting it, but it's a very good base coat for the next one, which is Wild Rider red, which would be the same one if you want to go for the Betrayal at Cult. And this color I'm just using it on the very sharpest edges and places that reflect more light on the edges of the color scheme, just the edges. So this is a fairly easy process, and it takes some time to get used to, but it's very effective to make those edges pop. But it's not necessarily tabletop. So what I'm doing next, I'm going to use Leadbbelcher, and with this color I'm going to paint all of the metallic parts, which are silver, around the model, which includes the bolter, some tubes and bits here and there in the armor, and whatever you like to be silver. This color is going to be a very high contrast between the very dark red and black. The silver is going to make it look pop a little bit, so use it consciously. Try to emphasize some parts here and there, but don't use it all around the model. I'm trying to use some blacks instead in some places than the silver, because I think it's a very stark contrast and I don't want to overuse it. Next I'm going to use Nuln oil to shade all these areas that I painted silver. This is a fairly easy process. This is just applying it all over the silver area. and letting it pull and dry. Now that that's done, I'm going to use Eshin Gray, and with this color I'm going to line all of the black places around the model. And for that I'm using the same method as with doing the armor itself. I'm just lining all of the edges with this color and a little bit of drying retarder to help me keep the paint wet for longer. And I'm just trying to hit all the edges. If you go a little bit too much with the edge highlight, you can use black to push it back again to the edge. Next I'm going to use Dawnstone, and with this color I'm just going to pick the sharpest edges on the black, and this is going to be a very extreme highlight that is going to look very good, but you have to use it in moderation, just in the places that reflect most light, and that will be pretty much just the sharpest edges of the black, and some places on top like this part on the backpack. Once that's done, I'm going to use Runefang steel, and this is the final highlight for the silvers. This is going to be applied on all of the edges of the silver, trying to make it pop a little bit more. If you want to use it a little bit more than just an edge highlight and use it a little bit more liberally over the silver just to make it pop a little bit more, that's fine, because this color is very contrasting against the other two colors, as I said, and it looks very good. Next I'm going to use Administratum Gray, and with this color I'm just going to scribble some stuff around the armor here and there. It helps to have thin paint and a little bit of drying retarder on the paint. The drying retarder that I use is, right now I'm using Cratex, an airbrush drying retarder that works pretty good, but any drying retarder you can find, Liquitex, or any other kind of brand that you can use, just make sure that it's liquid drying retarder and use that to thin down your paints a little bit. Now I'm going to paint the eyes. For that I'm using Caliban green, and I'm just trying to cover the whole eye, having a fairly sharp tip on my brush and trying to pick up only the lens with this color. After that I'm going to use Warpstone glow, and with this color I'm going to try to paint just the front part of the lens with around 50% of the lens on the front part as a base coat for the next color, which is going to be Moot green, and this is going to be the one that gives it the highest highlight, the one that would make it glow. Moot green is just, I'm trying to just aim for just a little bit dot on the very front part of the lens, just to give it that greenish glow. And then I'm going to use white with the same brush, a fine detail brush, and just try to paint a little dot on the very far part of the lens to give it a little reflection of light. And this is the finished model. I really like this color scheme. I know I always say that, but I initially started this series of painting 30k models just to make up my mind and find a color scheme that I liked a lot to do my Betrayal at Cal set. This hasn't helped because all of the color schemes that I've done so far are pretty good and I like them a lot. So there you go. This is a very easy to do color scheme and it's a very effective one. It looks pretty good and I hope you enjoyed this video. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching this tutorial. I hope you found it entertaining and helpful. And if you like it, you can like the video, comment and subscribe to the channel to see more videos. Every view really counts and helps me out. Also, you can become my Patreon if you want. There's information at the end of this video. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and see you on the next one. You stayed. Great. Thank you very much for watching my video, and if you would like to further support my channel, you can become my Patreon on Patreon. You can pledge as little as $1 a month, and you are helping me create more and better content. If you can't, that's fine because you're helping my channel a lot just for watching and sharing, but you can read all of the details if you follow the link in the description below. I hope you can spare $1 to make this hobby of mine a job for which I can get paid. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.